Hi guys, how have you guys been doing? Well, been doing very good. And so, it's movie and TV show review guy here once again. And today I'm gonna be doing another movie. Today I'm gonna be doing a movie review on Jumanji from 1995. This movie takes place in Connecticut, like New Hampshire. And also, I remember one of the actors who was in this movie, Robin Williams. Robin Williams plays the older version of Alan Parrish. That's right. It's about the board game of Jumanji, that's right. In this one, it's a board game. In the first movie, it's a board game, that's right. And so without further ado, let's get into the plot of the film without getting further away. So the film begins with two boys burying this box in the ground, and the drum beats start happening. And then years later, in 1969, we meet Alan Parrish, that's right. And he's hanging out in town. And then there's a group of boys led by Billy Jessup who are chasing after Alan. He's heading to his father's shoe shop. So it's revealed that Alan and Billy Jessup used to be best friends. So Alan started hanging out with Sarah Whittle. So Billy Jessup started bullying Alan. Bullying Alan. And so while as he heads into the shoe shop, he meets Carl Bentley. He meets Carl Bentley, the shoemaker. That's right. He designs shoes in the shoe factory. And so Carl gives him a new shoe, and then Alan puts it in the machine, and then his strict father, Sam Parrish, appears. He asks him, "What is he doing? What is he doing in the store?" The shoe gets put into the machine and not stuff. The Sam asks him, Billy Jessup is picking on him again. Now, Sam tells him he's got to face him sooner or not, and that if he's afraid of something, he's got to stand and face it. And face it. Then he leaves the store, but not before he sees the shoe getting demolished. Sam asks who did it, and Carl takes the blame for it. Even though it was actually Alan's fault, he took the blame for it. And he took the blame for it, and then he heads outside and he grabs his bike. Then Billy Jessup and his friends show up and they start beating Alan and they steal his bike, and then they leave. Then Alan shouts at them for what they did to him, and then he hears these drum beat noises, which follows him to a construction site where he discovers the same box the two boys buried at the beginning of the movie. When he opens it, he finds the board game of Jumanji. And so he heads home. Before he plays with it, his mom appears and then cleans him up. And then later, Alan is having dinner. Well, his parents appear and they're proud of him for what he did, and then he faced Billy Jessup and his boys like a man. He faced them. his boys, and his father asks him if he would like to go to the Cliffside School for Boys, but Alan refuses and they start arguing. So then Sam leaves the house. Before Alan prepares to run away from home, his friend Sarah Whittle appears and he tells him that she got his bike back and that she told Billy to stop picking on him. He told Billy to stop picking on him. And then now they hear drumbeat noises like Alan had heard earlier. Then they find the board game of Jumanji and they start playing it. Well, they start playing it to see that the pieces are moving. Yeah, the pieces are moving. And then Alan, he starts getting transported into the game. He disappears into the game, which terrifies Sarah, and then the bats chase her outside. The bats chase her outside of the house, and then 26 years later, we meet Aunt Nora Shepard along with her children, Judy and Peter Shepard. That's revealed that their parents had died. The parents died a few weeks ago after a ski trip on the mountains. And so they're hanging out in the house. And then in the attic, Peter sees this bat, which he's terrified of, and Nora sees the bat in the attic, and she calls the animal inspector. But in the attic now, it's shown that the bat is gone, and so the animal inspector begins telling them about Alan Parrish, the boy who disappeared 25 years ago, and that it's revealed that everyone in town thought that his father Sam had killed him. They thought that his father had shot him into pieces. They thought his father had murdered him. So the animal inspector leaves the house, and then later they're having dinner. So Judy starts talking about Alan Parrish, but Nora doesn't believe her, and she grounds her. Then later during the night, Judy and Peter start talking about how they miss their parents. They hear these drumbeat noises, and then the next morning, while they're getting ready for school, they hear the drumbeat noises again. They hear it again. They hear like the drumbeat noises, and then they head to the attic where they find the board game of Jumanji and start playing it. So Bugs coming out start attacking them, and then they leave the house. And then in the kitchen, the monkeys appear. The monkeys appear, start terrorizing the kitchen. And so then a line appears. The monkeys appear and leave the house. And then the line appears, and then this man wearing a Tarzan suit appears, and it's Alan Parrish, the older Alan Parrish, played by Robin Williams. Yes, the actor I mentioned earlier in the movie. I mentioned earlier in my video, the actor I mentioned, Robin Williams. So Judy and Peter realize that he is Alan Parrish, the boy that got transported into the game 25 years ago, and they tell him that everyone thought that he was dead. So Alan heads outside, and he confronts a police officer who was revealed to be Carl Bentley, the salesman. Carl Bentley, but of course Carl doesn't recognize Alan. He thinks that he's a weird guy wearing a Tarzan suit. So monkeys enter his car, then Carl chases after the police car. So then Alan heads to the shoe shop to look for his father, but he discovers that the shoe shop is empty. So then in the office he meets this guy. He meets this old man who tells him that his father abandoned the shoe shop to look for Alan. The shoe shop, and then then the old guy gives him clothes, and then Alan heads to the graveyard where he discovers that his mom and dad were murdered, had died years before were released from the game of Jumanji. Yeah, you know what? So the children ask him if he's gonna help them. He's gonna help them play the game Jumanji, but Alan refuses. He says that he will watch. So then they head back in the house. Well, Alan is shaving. He puts on the nice clothes that the old man had gave him. They ask him again if he wants to play Jumanji, but of course he still refuses. So while they're trying to play, so while they're going to continue the game, they realize that this time it's not Judy's turn. It's not Peter's turn, and it's Sarah Whittle's turn. So they head to Sarah Whittle's house, and they reconcile with her. So Sarah recognizes Alan, the same boy that played the game of Jumanji with her. So then she faints, and then they bring her to Alan's house. That's right. So they encourage her to play the game of Jumanji, and of course at first she refuses, and then she accepts. Just like Alan, that's right. And then killer plants appear, and they grab Peter, and then they save him. You know? And then this haunter named Van Pelt appears, and it starts going after Alan. And also, I forgot to mention, this haunter guy is played by the same guy who played Alan's father. Yes, the same guy who played Alan's father. He played Alan's father. Yeah, the actor is Jonathan Hyde. Yeah, Jonathan Hyde. That's right, Jonathan Hyde. I mentioned Robin Williams and Jonathan Hyde. That's right. So Ellen heads back into the house, and then while the kids are playing the game, Ellen and Sarah are arguing about what happened 25 years ago, and so then a stampede appears, and they all run outside, and then this pigeon, this bird grabs the game of Jumanji, so Ellen heads to the river to look for the game of Jumanji. That's for the game of Jumanji, and so they're able to get the game of Jumanji. Then a few minutes later, Ellen is arrested by Carl Bentley, the police officer. So while he's in the car, Alan reveals himself, which shocks him. So Alan explains to Carl that he got stuck into a game of Jumanji for 25 years. So Carl unhandcuffs him, and so they're heading to the store. So meanwhile, Van Pelt heads to a store where he buys a new gun. It's now Judy, Peter, and Sarah head in town, and then Van Pelt steals the game of Jumanji and heads to a toy store where they're fighting in the toy store. You know what? Then Alan and Carl appear. Then Alan reconciles with them. I also forgot to mention, while Alan got arrested, Peter had tried to cheat in the game of Jumanji, which made him turn into a monkey. Yeah, turn into a monkey, that's right. He tried to cheat. Jumanji, so then they head back home where they're continuing to play the game of Jumanji. So Aunt Nora is driving in her car and she sees the stampede appear, and then the monkey appears and enters her car. She's terrified by this, and then she heads out of the car and she approaches the police officer Carl Bentley, and she asks him where his children are. And he's about to explain to her before the plane appears and destroys his car. So back at the house, they're continuing to play the game of Jumanji. So then a rainstorm happens, and then a crocodile appears, and then Arnold, Shepard, and Carl Bentley head to the house, and then there's a quicksand happening, and also it's revealed that the whole house has become a jungle. Yeah, like the game of Jumanji, a jungle. Okay. The game of Jumanji, that's right. So then while they open the door, the quicksand happens, and then they fall down on the ground, and then the whole town is covered in river, and then you see the crocodile, that's right. So while Nora Shepard heads into the house, she's terrified to see all these people, all this stuff happening in the house, all these animals. She's horrified to see her son Peter turn into a monkey. And then she gets locked into the closet. Then Peter grabs an axe from outside, and then they go to fight the spiders, that's right. So the entire house collapses. Then Alan grabs the game of Jumanji and then he falls down the floor. And then guess who shows up? Again, Van Pelt, the haunter. And this time, Alan does not run away from Van Pelt because he remembers what his father had said. He needs to face what he's afraid of. And so he shouts the word Jumanji. Then everything gets sucked into the game of Jumanji. Then now Alan and Sarah transported back to the year of 1969, and when they first played the game of Jumanji. That's right. Then his father appears and Alan apologizes for having the fight with him earlier. His father apologizes as well. He tells his son Alan that he doesn't have to go to Cliffside if he doesn't want to. So Alan, before Sam leaves, Alan tells him the truth that he's the one who demolished the shoe in the shoe factory today. So Alan realizes that Judy and Peter are gone, and that Sarah tells him that they don't really exist yet. So Alan and Judy overthrow the game of Jumanji and the water in the river, that's right. And then they kiss, and then they leave. And then years later, Alan and Sarah had grew up as married couple, that's right. So it's revealed that his father, Sam, has retired from the shoe factory, and that Carl is still working in the shoe factory, that's right. And so they're expecting for their first child. So now, they finally meet Judy and Peter Shepard, the two children that they've been expecting to meet in a long time, for years, that's right. So they also meet their parents. That's right. So they celebrate Christmas in the house. So the movie ends in a in a beach where the game of Jumanji is showing. So that's how the movie ends. So I really like the movie of Jumanji. The movie of Jumanji is a really good film. I love the board game of Jumanji that appears in the movie with the drum beat noises and the nuts of the drum beat. What? I liked all the characters in the movie. My favorite one is Alan Parrish. That's right, Alan Parrish. That's right. I just like the story in the movie. The story in it was really cool. There's also the main antagonist in the movie. It's the haunter Van Pout. Yeah, Van Pout. That's right. Van Pout is the antagonist in the movie. Van Pout. Van Pout. That's right. I also like the soundtrack in the movie. The soundtrack in it was really cool. I also like the special effects in the movie. The special effects in it were really cool. But the visuals in it looked really amazing. I thought the editing in it looked really nice. I thought the background in it was really cool. I thought the direction in it was really amazing. Oh. Structure in it was really cool. I thought the pacing in it was really amazing. I thought the steaming in it looked really nice. Right. God. Okay. Okay. I also like the CGI in the movie. I thought the CGI in the movie was really nice. I thought the climax battle in it was really amazing. I thought the ending of the movie was really nice. So that's my movie review of Jumanji from 1995. And so that's why this movie gets 10 out of 10. Yes, 10 out of 10. It's really nice. 10 out of 10. So thank you guys for joining my movie review of Jumanji from 1995. So don't forget to like and comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys next time. And goodbye, everyone. See you soon.